This is KGW News at noon.
Our top story here at noon is one we've been following since early this morning in southeast Portland, where police say a fatal shooting left one man dead. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. Portland police say it happened around 1:30 this morning, and they had Southeast Bush Street closed between 165th and 166th during their investigation, but that is back open now. Police say when they arrived at the building where it happened, they found one man who had been shot. He was taken to the hospital, but later died. According to KGW reporter Devin Haskins, who covered this story for us, it happened in a residential building that appears to be a fourplex. Officers say by the time they got there, whoever shot the man had left the scene, and so far they haven't made any arrests. Portland Police is asking anyone with information about this shooting to contact Detective Steve Gandy by either using the email we have up there on your screen. We'll hold it there for a second. Or you can also call that number that's also up on the screen right there, 503-823-0449. The Oregon Supreme Court, meanwhile, will hear arguments today surrounding Measure 113. That's the law that prevents state lawmakers from running for re-election if they have 10 or more unexcused absences during a legislative session. Earlier this year, Oregon state Republicans in the Senate staged a lengthy walkout in Salem, some for up to 6 weeks. But because of Measure 113, that stretch of time away disqualified 10 of them from seeking re-election. At this point, 5 of those Republicans have since sued the state challenging the law. Arguments are set to begin at 1:30 this afternoon. The state Supreme Court will ultimately decide if those senators can still run for re-election. There's a new program now in Portland that's aimed at getting drug users on city streets into treatment. The pilot project started yesterday. It combines the efforts of Portland Police, Oregon State Police, and local outreach workers. For more on how it works, here's KGW's Blair Best.
On the streets of Old Town, it's easy to go unnoticed.
I'm scared, alone.
These two struggle with an addiction to just about
Everything.
everything.
A lot of us don't know where to start or where to go for any kind of services.
It's that disconnect Portland Police is now trying to fix.
So we're trying to kind of break that cycle now by just starting to, introduce people to service providers who can come out on the street that moment and hopefully make those connections that, convince people to go into recovery.
It's a new approach to addiction that hit the streets Wednesday morning.
Today is a pilot project. This is the first day, very early stages. So when we interact with folks on the street who are actively using them in public spaces and they express any interest in getting help, we're able to connect them in that moment with a social worker and then hopefully steer them into treatment.
That's been the missing piece.
It's also where Joe Bezeghi and his team at Recovery Works Northwest come in. When police find someone willing to get help, they send the outreach workers.
The window of openness to recovery, it's short and it closes quickly. So being able to meet people where they're at when they're ready, that leads to, roads to long-term wellness.
As opposed to what they've been doing under Measure 110, which is giving people using in public a fine and a number to call for treatment.
But it's nice to see that they're helping instead of just giving people a hard time.
The bike squad is able to take on such a project with the help of state troopers.
We just have more presence out there. We can cover more ground and reach more people.
It would give them a chance to see us as actual people.
Again, that was Blair Best reporting for us. Police say 17 of the 67 people they came in contact with yesterday accepted help from social workers right there on the spot, but there's still a need for more detox beds. Right now, the city has just over 100. Meanwhile, Max riders will have to deal with a major service disruption starting next month as TriMet shuts down the Gateway Transit Center in Northeast Portland for 6 full weeks because of continued work on the Better Red project. It's a big shutdown because the red, blue, and green Max lines all run through there, along with 7 different bus lines. The disruption in service will start on January 14th and run through February 25th. The Better Red project aims to improve travel between the Gateway Transit Center and PDX by adding another track to the airport. TriMet also has plans to have the new Gateway North station up and running for service the day the closure ends on Monday, February 26th. In the meantime, the bottom line is to expect delays.
I know I might be late for a lot of appointments, or just simple stuff that you basically go through every day.
Probably I'll have to take the bus now, which means a longer commute for me.
Again, that closure starts January 14th. Meanwhile, we are right on time to catch up with Rod Hill in the Weather Center. What's going on behind you there, Rod?
Well, it's a great day, and we still have some mostly light moisture in the area. You can see it is dry up in Astoria. And I do want to point out that actually there are light precipitation amounts scattered across the east as well. This is some snow, kind of borderline flurries as far as I can tell. The temperatures in the 30s moving out through Baker City and Baker County, and the Blues have had some flurries out there. Mainly dry in the gorge. Radar showing there might be just some sprinkles of activity out that direction, but not looking for much in particular. Here's a closer look at the radar. And you can see right now the rain is pretty much off to the east of Portland. This is going to continue to fizzle out in the coming hours. So from Portland back to the west, I would expect this to be dry for the remainder of today. It is overcast. I'm not sure if we're going to get any breaks in cloud cover or not. This is Schnuckwin's Casino Resort in Lincoln City. 50 degrees there. Temperatures are still really comfortable. Here's how thick the clouds are over on the east side. Again, this is the portion of our viewing area that still has some traceable amounts. You can see that's Powell. It's still a little wet right there, the view from Gresham Subaru's camera out on that side of town. 49 will be 50 at noon. Even if we don't get a cloud break, we'll be 50, 51. And then becoming partly cloudy overnight tonight. It's going to set the stage for some freezing temperature spots in the valley overnight tonight. The forecast is back to dry the next couple of days. We'll have that 7-day for you coming up.
All right, more from Rod there in just a few minutes. But right now, back to some local headlines. Friends, neighbors, and local businesses in Sandy and Boring have come together to help a family who lost just about everything they own in a house fire. The community effort has raised nearly $14,000 in less than a week. KGW's Joe Ranieri brings us more now from Boring.
Elroy Diaz Mesa and his father Louise can do right now.
It's where I grew up. It's where the bulk of my family has spent the most of their life with.
Be thankful for the memories they were able to create in this home for the last 7 years in Boring.
I'm thinking that it might have started there because that's where the ceiling collapsed in.
Late last week, their home burst into flames, completely destroying the house and the 2 cars that were parked outside. Nobody was home at the time of the fire, but sadly, 3 of the family dogs and a cat died.
My wife and I were eating supper about 5 or 5:30, and she heard an explosion, a big old boom.
Edward Mello has just been one neighbor inside of the Big Valley Woods and RV Resort that had been helping this family of 5 out.
Yeah, I give them some money to help them buy some clothes and some food, and I think they're going to get help from the Red Cross.
So far, a GoFundMe account has raised nearly $14,000. As for what started the fire, it hasn't been determined yet, but Roy and his father are thankful for their community that has been helping them.
My dad's saying that the people that have helped the most is our friends, family, and everybody else here in the community that just wants to help after seeing what happened.
It's also restored something for this family.
Like regains your hope in humanity, pretty much. It really has meant a lot with how much people have been able to help with it all.
And it's that hope and support this family is leaning on right now. Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
In Portland, city leaders have laid out a plan to spend hundreds of millions of dollars earmarked for clean energy programs. The money was approved by voters 5 years ago in 2018, and it comes from a tax on large retailers. Yesterday, the city projected that tax could bring in $540 million more than they expected. The project it will fund ranges from energy efficiency upgrades and affordable housing to planting trees and replacing gas-powered leaf blowers. City Commissioner Carmen Rubio hopes it also elevates the reach of existing programs.
Things like Sunday parkways, safe routes to school, those kind of things that are traditional, institutional City of Portland programs that everybody knows has tremendous value, that clearly has a green and sustainability component and climate-oriented component.
The proposed funding allocations will go before a committee in January who will then make final recommendations on spending to City Council. Today is the final day of this week's KGW series on the 50-year-old Endangered Species Act and the impact it's had here in the Northwest. The first 3 installments of the series focused on specific species, including the spotted owl and its impact on the timber industry and the conflict between gray wolves and local ranchers. In this final installment, we're going to look at two conflicting philosophies that intersect with the Endangered Species Act.
Two very fundamental American ideals come crashing together, and one is this concept of Teddy Roosevelt, Wild West, wildlife, preserving that, and private property rights. Private property rights is a very American ideal. And how do you reconcile those two?
So here's the question. Is the Endangered Species Act working? And if it's not, what needs to change? KGW environmental reporter Cale Williams asked the experts those questions, and he'll have their answers coming up tonight at 6:30 on KGW's The Story.